Hey,
PV!
Today's Tuesday the 8th, and not only is it an A day,
but it's also Election Day.
Welcome, Paradise Valley, to our special PVTV Election Day show. Today we have interviews from students, informational analysis of the electoral map, and a presidential discussion on the Electoral College. Our anchors went out and polled students about who they would vote for president.
What is your view on the current political election?
Well, there's two people that nobody really likes at all, but one is clearly better than the other, Trump Nation. So yeah.
I think this is probably the nastiest that I've seen it in many, many years.
It is what it is.
I think the election is a mess. There's not very good choices, and the rhetoric has been terrible.
I'm so glad it's going to be over tomorrow.
I feel like our country is at a crossroads right now. I feel like we are on the verge of what could become history, and also what could become history, and either way, I'm uncomfortable.
It's been very tasteless. The candidates have taken us to a new low in this election cycle.
And what do you know about the Electoral College?
The Electoral College is really cool because we think that we're voting for our candidates, and we're really voting for people that we hope will vote for our candidates.
The Electoral College, if I'm not mistaken, is a group of people elected by other people to vote, something along the lines of that.
Well, I know the Electoral College kind of evens out the votes among the states, so it makes it for much more of a fair election.
I believe that the Electoral College needs a makeover.
Group of people that decide who's president, because the states vote, we vote, and then they take our votes and all right, we won, so they're gonna pick Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton.
I know that a lot of millennials right now actually think that we should get rid of it. There have been quite a few debates recently on whether or not it is beneficial to elect our leaders using popular vote or using the Electoral College. My personal opinion is that we definitely need to have a discussion about it. At the upper level, though, a lot of people just kind of brush the discussion under the rug, but our nation is changing. Is it necessary for us to have outdated systems? Is it necessary for us to update said systems? I don't know. I'm not in politics. I'm a teacher.
Thank you. Now let's take you over to Megan Shad
to talk about some electoral maps.
Let's look at the electoral map. This map of the United States shows the results of the 2012 election. This map shows which representatives were sent from each state in which of the Democratic nominee, Barack Obama, won the majority of the electoral votes. We can look at this map to see how it contrasts to this election's polling. The polls from this election show that Democratic Senator Clinton with a lead of 89 electoral votes over the Republican Donald Trump. Now back to Jimmy and Lachlan with more PVTV news.
And now we go to a few experts to clarify this complicated issue.
Thank you, Paradise Valley, for joining us today for another Yesterday This Morning. My name is Seth Stevens, and welcome to the first ever presidential discussion. Today, Tuesday, November 8th, is an extremely important day, for it is Election Day. The two people that are running for our Commander-in-Chief, also known as the President of the United States, being Mr. Donald J. Trump and Secretary Clinton. Thank you both for being here today.
Of course. Thanks for having us, Seth.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a discussion, meaning there will be no debating, but instead discussing why this day is so important to American democracy and the history behind it. You each have 30 seconds to explain your answer to the question. I also must remind the audience to keep quiet and respect the candidates. Thank you. The first question is for you, Mr. Trump. What is the Electoral College?
Thank you, Seth, for asking that. The Electoral College isn't even a college at all. We're like a Trump college. For those who are wondering, it's actually a process. It's how we Americans elect a president and vice president every 4 years. You never actually directly vote for the president, but instead vote for the electors of your state. Most states have a winner-take-all system where a state that is won, that party receives all of the electoral votes. While the system does work and was a compromise for the framers, it is possible to win the Electoral College, but not to win the popular vote, and has multiple times. Some examples of this being even George W. Bush. This is a solid compromise and one of the solid foundations to American democracy.
Thank you for that, Donald J. Trump. Secretary Clinton, Trump mentions the framers. So what exactly is the framers, and what is the history of the Electoral College?
The framers simply mean those who wrote the Constitution and helped create our supreme law back in 1787. Now, what is the history of the Electoral College? The Electoral College was created by said framers as a compromise. Trump mentioned that on election day, you don't actually vote for the president, but the electors. You are probably asking why you don't just directly vote. The framers saw this as being too chaotic and believed that leaving the choice only up to the people would only lead to chaos and trouble, so the Electoral College was created.
Before we get into the final question for both of you, I have a question from an audience member by the name of Lochlin Duval, I believe.
So you guys have talked a lot about like how the Electoral College was created and what it's for, but like how do you win the Electoral College? This is a question meant for both of y'all.
Excellent question, Lochlin Duval. Let's begin with you, Mr. Trump.
Well, Lochlin, the Electoral College can be won by gathering 270 votes from all of these states. Each state has electoral votes determined by population, such as your own state, Arizona, that has 11 votes. In total, while California has 55 votes. The whole goal of winning this election comes down to getting those 270.
On the case of winning the election, Secretary Clinton, since Trump covered the question quite well, what happens if you don't gain all 270 electoral votes?
If neither candidate gets the magic number of 270 votes, the vote is kicked to the House of the Representative, where the top three are voted on, each state delegation receiving one vote. The vice president is voted on the Senate. This hasn't happened in a long time and is unlikely to happen again.
I have one final question you'll each answer in your own way.
Yes, Seth.
Why should the American people go out and vote today? You each have 30 words.
Well, it is the most critical part of the American democracy. It is your American right to vote.
Voting influences our great country, and voting lets you have a part of that.
Thank you both for being here. This was Yesterday This Morning with Seth Stevens, and was also the first presidential discussion.
My pleasure, Seth.
And I will see you next week, Paradise Valley.
If you have the right to vote, don't let this privilege go unused. Vote today.
Is that it? Is the election thing
I
finally
hope so.
over?
Jeez.
All right, that's right, guys. PVTV is back and better than ever. Great. So first off, NHS members, there will be a meeting during both lunches in the Media Center.
Today's general meeting will be held in the Media Center during your lunch period. Please plan on attending. You will be briefed on upcoming events, tutoring needs, the point system, and celebration. Our club has had many accomplishments during the first part of the year, and we appreciate you.
Here is Crest Bioscience's 5th PSA video on the statistics and trends of the Zika virus.
It's hard to establish an incident rate of the virus as only 1 in 5 people infected with the virus have symptoms. The R value, essentially the number of cases generated from one infected person, is estimated to be 2.3. The Zika virus has spread to 46 countries and territories since 2015, but the reported number of cases is now starting to decline. The most cases of the disease were in South America, where over 4 million people caught the virus. Currently, only 2 million people have a chance of catching the virus. The virus rarely has any long-lasting effects, except for pregnant women, as it can damage a developing fetus. Microcephaly has occurred in 1 to 13% of newborns in certain countries with the virus, when the normal rates of microcephaly are between 0.02 and 0.12%. The virus is in America, but of the 4,128 cases, 97% of them were linked directly to travel. To learn more about the virus, you can visit cdc.gov/Zika.
Students, if you are still interested in joining Key Club, please email dahudson@pvlearners.net. This club is about community service and helping others. Join us for the club picture on Wednesday and wear a black shirt.
PVHS Orchestra has a video. Here it is.
Way to go, swim and dive, for your performance at state. Check out some highlights.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. All right. Come on and slam.
The Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, FIDM, will be outside at the table between the Guidance Office and the Media Center during both lunches.
Now here's an announcement from Trojan Corner.
If you are currently in choir or will be next semester, please stop in and see Mrs. Duncan in room 550. We'll be planning our choir trip to Universal Studios in March, and we need you to pick up the information packet.
Skills USA Robotics will be having a meeting today in Mr. Bivers' room in the Crest building.
Here is a video about the ADA walk.
Did you know that car crashes are the number one killer of teens in America? 3 of the largest contributors to fatal crashes among teens are preventable. They include speeding, lack of seatbelt use, and distractions caused by passengers. It takes all of us to keep your commute safe. Do your part by buckling up, heeding your speed, and avoiding distractions while driving.
HOSA Week is coming up. Check it out.
I got this. Mr. Jones, are you okay? He's not breathing. Sorry, freshman. Future Health Professionals. HOSA Week, November 4th through the 10th. HOSA Week, November 4th through the 10th. Applications for next year's class is on Mrs. Latzo's website.
Healthcare HOSA is collecting dollar donations to get your blood pressure taken during first and second lunch for the National Alliance for Mental Illnesses. During HOSA Week. See you there.
Have
a
great
day,
PV.